Hello, this is the instructor's introduction for the quality of light. So I've put together a lot of really great information for you guys for this particular module. So please take the time to read all of the text that I have included. Don't forget that these links take you to oftentimes off-canvas websites and or videos. So check those out if you want to learn a little bit more about the definition of available light when it comes to this particular learning unit and really kind of thinking about the value of paying attention to the quality of light in your photographs. This is a suggested workflow for working with lighting your subjects. So looking over the scene, determining if there's enough light, deciding if the characteristics of the lighting is working for you, using a flash, bringing in studio lights, and then taking your photographs. And then I included 2 photographs that I made for the photography business that I have. I love doing the photographs of little kids. And so these are both flash fill. And I talk a little bit about flash fill later in this learning unit. But if you have an on-camera flash or an external flash, or even the flash on your camera phone, you might be able to learn how to modify it and control it to be able to take pictures where it looks like the flash didn't even go off, to create this very natural look while using flash. And then I go into the 4 characteristics of light, which we've kind of talked a little bit about in other learning units, but in this learning unit, we're really going to dive into the different qualities of these characteristics of light, those being the direction of the light, the quality of light being hard or soft. So I have an example here by a photographer that I really like, Katie Grannon. And of course, it's a great example of hard sunlight. Contrast is another important characteristic of light. And this is a wonderful photograph by Roy DeCarva. And then also the intensity of the light. So these 4 different characteristics, they work together, they help each other, but I want you to be even more aware about how, for example, you can play around with the intensity of the light and how that might affect the contrast and or the hardness or softness of the light, but that these elements and characteristics of the light are very key, and especially for this particular learning unit where we're going to be going over these different concepts. And then I created like a separate little page for each one of these characteristics, giving you a definition of the characteristic, and then a short video that I would like for you to watch that just goes over this idea of the direction of the light, or the hardness or softness of the light. Again, a definition, and then a 7-minute video going over these important concepts to be familiar with when looking at the quality of light. The contrast and how that's affected by the intensity, or if there's like direct light, how that will create these shadows. So being able to recognize high contrast, normal contrast, and low contrast. And then of course the intensity of the light. And also something a little bit about specular highlights, which oftentimes can be too bright in a photograph, and there's no detail in a specular highlight, and so it can be very distracting and can be very unattractive in a photograph. It can also be used as a creative way. There's a required reading for this week, and so I'm going to ask you to go ahead and this takes you to the required reading. It's a really great article that you're going to want to check out. And so, and also the information in this reading will be covered in the quiz. So be sure to check out all that information as you're going through all the different things that I've gathered for this particular learning unit. So you're going to want to definitely review the required reading before you take the quiz. And here's a bunch of samples of previous students' work that were playing around with different types of quality of light. So you have really high contrast, and then you have images that don't have as much contrast with more diffused light, and just, different ways of thinking about maybe setting something up in your house and using, just lamps that you have available to you. So I always want to encourage you, use what's available. You can use window light to create like a hard shadow on a wall, or, have some paper that you use as your background. Frontal light is also interesting, creating again like a different type of lighting. So go ahead and take your time to review these examples, but you also might want to Google different types of lighting scenarios to get inspired by looking at other photographers' work. And then, like I said, I am introducing you to using a flash. If you have a flash on your camera, this video goes over something called flash compensation. So you can power up or power down the flash that's built into your camera. And in this short video, she talks a little bit about how to do that. You might have to Google the specific type of camera that you have to be able to know how to navigate your menu, but it is a very awesome tool that I encourage you to learn how to use, especially if all you have available is the flash that flips up on your digital camera. And then this talks about flash fill, which is what I was showing you before, the example photos that I had at the beginning of this video. I'm a big fan of flash fill because I want to be able to illuminate my subject, but also have the background not be too bright or too dark. And so fill flash, I call it flash fill. Most people call it fill flash, but it's the same thing. It's a great tool. And so I found a short video that goes over some of the information about having more control over either the flash that you mount to your camera, so an external flash, or using the flash in your camera. And here's some more links as well. And here's just some helpful links. Some of them are just photographers that might be inspiring to look at, and then some of them are more technical skills that might be helpful. I posted this in a few modules before, and I'm posting it again because since we're specifically talking about lighting and being able to use the language for lighting, high contrast, low contrast, all that the information in this learning unit, I went ahead and reposted this because some of you might want to think about getting a reflector card as a way to control the lighting. So check out that information that is included. And then here's the assignment for this learning unit, quality of light. So there's a 5-minute video where I go over the homework requirements, and I hope you have fun playing around with the quality of light. There's a few prompts, and one of them, be sure to give us some ideas about what kind of feedback you would like. And then I just included some examples of previous students' work for this particular homework assignment. And then of course there's a quiz, and so you're going to want to take that as well. So be sure to look at the student examples, and if you have any questions, shoot me an email via Canvas. Thanks for listening.